When she asks for space, when she withdraws or seems distant, it's easy to assume she's losing interest. But love isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers through the spaces in between, in the pauses, in the silences, in the moments when two hearts are close but not touching. You see, when she pulls back, she may not be trying to leave you, she may be trying to find herself again without losing you in the process. It's her way of breathing. You must understand, there is a quiet fear that comes when someone begins to matter too much. A fear of depending, of being seen too deeply, of being known in ways she cannot hide from. She fights for space because she's afraid that if she lets you too close, she'll lose the part of herself she's worked so hard to protect. And yet, even as she steps back, her energy doesn't leave. You can still feel her presence, her thought, her invisible connection. She's there in the silence, testing if what you have can survive the distance. Love, in its truest form, doesn't need to cling. It's not about possession, it's about freedom. And for many, that freedom is terrifying. To love without holding, to trust without control, it feels too fragile. So she creates space, not because she doesn't care, but because she cares too much. She wants to see if the bond remains when she stops feeding it with words and actions. Whether your presence lingers without effort, whether what you share exists beyond constant contact. If you rush to close that gap, to demand answers, to fill the quiet, you'll only meet her fear head-on. But if you can stand still and let her breathe, you'll show her something rare. That love can hold its shape without force. You see, she's not testing your patience, she's searching for safety. And safety doesn't come from constant reassurance. It comes from the quiet confidence that someone will stay even when you need a moment to drift. When she says she needs time, what she truly means is, can I trust you to stay grounded while I find myself? She's not trying to push you away. She's trying to see if you're strong enough not to crumble when she steps back. Because deep down, she's terrified that loving you too deeply means losing herself entirely. And yet, what she doesn't realize is that the kind of love that lasts doesn't consume, it expands. It allows both souls to exist fully, not just as lovers, but as individuals who are whole within themselves. So when she becomes quiet, don't chase the noise. Let her silence speak. There's a rhythm to it, a subtle music. She's feeling for the edges of the connection, making sure it's real, that it's built not on dependency, but on trust. The paradox of love is that the more space we allow, the closer we become. When love isn't forced, it breathes. When it's not caged, it deepens. And that's what she's trying to discover. You may notice she still remembers your little habits, still checks in on your well, being in indirect ways, still leaves traces of care hidden in her distance. That's because her affection never truly leaves. It just shifts form. Her silence isn't the absence of feeling, it's a quiet storm, filled with unspoken emotion, restrained out of fear that revealing it all might make her too vulnerable. She fears losing you, yes, but she also fears losing herself in the process of keeping you. That's why love requires maturity. To understand that space doesn't mean separation. It's the breath between heartbeats, the pause in a song that makes the melody matter. Real love isn't constant presence. It's the invisible thread that remains even when both hearts wander in their own directions. She wants to know that when she returns, your energy will still be there. Calm, patient, welcoming. Not demanding, not punishing, just being. And if you can offer that kind of stillness, that kind of presence, you give her something no words could ever provide: the freedom to love without fear. The safety to be both independent and connected. The assurance that her need for space isn't a threat to your bond, but a part of it. Because love isn't proven through constant closeness. It's proven through quiet trust. So when she fights for distance, but never truly leaves, understand that this is her way of holding on without confessing it. Her way of loving you from afar while making sure she can still love herself. And if you can meet her there, in that sacred balance between closeness and freedom, You won't have to question how she feels. You'll feel it in the silence, in the calm, in the invisible thread that never breaks. And that's how you know she's afraid to lose you, even if she'll never say it aloud. When she goes quiet, most people assume it's indifference. They think silence means distance, that words are the only way to measure care. But silence often holds what speech cannot. Sometimes, the quiet between two people says more than all the conversations in the world. Her silence isn't emptiness. It's full of emotion, fear, and reflection. It's a language of its own, one that only patience can translate. You see, when she falls silent, she's not necessarily gone. She's not always angry, and she's not always cold. She's listening to the storm within her, trying to make sense of what she feels before she lets it spill out. She's trying to hold her composure, to not say too much, to not reveal how deeply she's affected. There's a certain pride in that quiet, but also a quiet kind of love. It's the silence of someone who cares deeply, but doesn't know how to show it without losing her balance. Most people panic when the words stop flowing. They rush to fill the void, to demand answers, to pull emotion out by force. But love doesn't thrive under pressure. It unfolds in trust. And trust means giving her the space to come back to her words when she's ready. The more you chase her voice, the further it hides. The more you let it breathe, the more it returns on its own. She may not text back immediately, or she may respond with simple, short answers. But don't mistake that for indifference. Behind that pause is a mind replaying moments, a heart questioning, and a soul searching for stability. Sometimes she's quiet because she doesn't want to say the wrong thing. Sometimes she's quiet because the right words don't yet exist. And sometimes she's quiet because she's scared of being misunderstood or of caring more than you do. If you can learn to sit with her silence without trying to fix it, you give her something powerful, peace. You tell her, without saying a word, that she doesn't have to perform for your reassurance, that she can exist beside you even in stillness. And that is when connection deepens, when you stop needing constant expression and begin to feel the unspoken rhythm between two souls. Her silence is not rejection, it's reflection. It's her way of understanding what your presence means to her. The quiet moments after conflict, after laughter, after vulnerability, those are where she measures the truth of what you share. She's not ignoring you, she's feeling you. She's asking herself if your energy feels safe, if it feels grounding, if she can rest there without fear of losing herself. The mistake many make is to take her silence personally, to see it as a wall instead of a window. But if you look closer, that silence is full of movement. It's the heart thinking, the soul feeling, the self-softening. You just can't hear it because you're listening with your ears instead of your awareness. Silence is sacred in love. It's where emotion settles and becomes clear. It's where the noise of the world fades so truth can surface. And if she allows herself to be silent with you, it means she trusts that the connection doesn't need to be constantly validated. It means she knows that presence speaks louder than any sentence could. There will be moments when she sits next to you without a word, when her eyes wander, when her lips barely move. Don't fill that space with anxiety. Fill it with peace. Let your stillness speak for you. Because in those moments, she's not pulling away, she's allowing herself to feel safe enough not to speak. That's how you know she's still there, still connected, still holding on. And when she finally breaks the silence, listen closely, not just to what she says, but to how she says it. Her tone will carry what her silence has been holding. You'll hear the weight of her thoughts, the care behind her restraint, the vulnerability she tried to hide. If you respond with understanding instead of judgment, you'll see her open again, slowly, cautiously, but sincerely. This is where love matures. Not in constant chatter, not in endless validation, but in the quiet confidence that two people can share space without fear. Her silence is her way of loving carefully, loving safely. And when she feels that you can honor her quiet, she begins to trust you with her noise too, with her laughter, her anger, her dreams, her fears. So when her words fade and the air feels heavy with what's unspoken, don't rush. Just breathe. Sit with her in the stillness. Let her know, without saying a thing, that she doesn't have to fill the air to keep your heart. Because when she realizes that your love listens, even when she doesn't speak, that's when she'll know she's safe. And that's when silence becomes the loudest proof that she's afraid to lose you, but doesn't know how to say it. When she remembers the small things you forget, it isn't coincidence. It's devotion expressed in quiet detail. Most people think love is shown through grand gestures, through promises or big declarations. But in truth, the heart speaks most clearly in the smallest, subtlest ways. When she holds on to your offhand words, when she recalls what you once said in passing, when she brings up the things you mentioned once and forgot soon after. It's not about memory. It's about meaning. It's her way of saying, "You matter?" without ever having to say it out loud. You may think she's just observant, that she simply has a good memory. But no one remembers what they don't care about. Her mind captures pieces of you because her heart refuses to let them go. The way you like your coffee, the song you hum under your breath, the places that make you feel calm. She collects these fragments like they're sacred, because to her they are. They're proof of who you are beneath the surface. The little glimpses she treasures quietly, afraid to seem too eager, too invested. Love, when it's real, is attentive. It doesn't need to announce itself, it simply notices. She's not trying to impress you, she's simply moved by you. And yet, she'll never admit it outright, because vulnerability frightens her. She fears that showing how much she pays attention will make her look too exposed, too dependent. So she hides her affection in details, in thoughtful gestures, in subtle moments. She remembers, and that remembering becomes her love language. You'll notice it when she brings up a story you told months ago. When she avoids doing the little things you dislike, not because you asked her to, but because she knows. When she quietly supports your habits, encourages your passions, or reminds you of your worth when you forget. These are not coincidences. They're confessions she's too careful to make aloud. Her way of loving you is quiet but precise, tender but restrained. She gives pieces of herself through awareness rather than words. It's easy to miss the weight of this. You might think it's normal, casual, expected. But what she's doing is carrying pieces of you with her everywhere she goes. Every detail she remembers is a small act of care, a piece of emotional labor born from affection. And though she may not say it, she's afraid to lose those memories, afraid to lose you. Because when she remembers your small things, she's really building a home for you in her mind, a place where you exist even when you're far away. The beauty of it is that she doesn't need recognition. She's not doing this for praise. It's simply how her heart operates, quietly, attentively, sincerely. It's love that doesn't seek credit, love that observes rather than demands. But still, deep down, there's a longing, a hope that you'll see it, that you'll notice how she notices, that you'll understand how much care it takes to remember someone so deeply. What many fail to see is that this kind of remembering comes from fear too. Fear of losing the moments that define connection. Fear that if she doesn't hold on to these little things, you'll slip away. So she keeps them safe, your preferences, your habits, your words, because they're pieces of the story she never wants to end. It's not control. It's tenderness disguised as vigilance. If you look closely, you'll find her love written between the lines of her actions. The way she asks how your day went, already knowing the kind of answer you'll give. The way she adjusts to your moods, anticipating your comfort. The way she makes small adjustments in her behavior, not out of obligation, but out of quiet empathy. She's tuning herself to you, mirroring the things that make you feel at ease, because that's what love does. It adapts. But she won't admit how much she's invested, because to admit it would expose her fear. The fear that you might not notice, that you might take it for granted, that her quiet effort might go unseen. And that's why her care hides in subtlety. It's safer there. She can love deeply without appearing too open, too fragile. Yet you can always feel it if you pay attention. The invisible thread of understanding that ties you together, woven from all the small things she's never forgotten. So when she remembers what you've long let slip, when she surprises you with something you mentioned only once, recognize what that truly is. It's her heart showing itself softly, shyly, but sincerely. It's her way of saying she's afraid to lose what she treasures. Because someone who remembers your smallest details isn't preparing to leave. They're holding on. And that's how you'll know she's afraid to lose you, even if she'll never put it into words. Sometimes she argues over things that don't really matter. A delayed text, a slightly distant tone, a small change in your energy. Suddenly, something minor becomes a moment of tension. But what you have to understand is that the argument is rarely about what it seems. Beneath her irritation, beneath her raised voice or quiet withdrawal, there's usually something softer hiding. Fear. Fear that she's losing her place in your life. Fear that your heart is shifting away. It's not the forgotten call that hurts her. It's what that forgetfulness symbolizes to her mind. She's not fighting for control. She's fighting not to disappear. Love has a strange way of turning vulnerability into confusion. When someone cares deeply but doesn't feel safe expressing it, the heart starts speaking through other languages. Defensiveness, irritation, sarcasm, distance. What looks like anger is often the echo of unspoken affection, too fragile to reveal itself openly. When she snaps at you for something small, what she's really saying is, "Do I still matter?" But she doesn't know how to phrase it without feeling weak. So her love hides behind a mask of frustration. She doesn't want to push you away, even though it might seem like that. She's testing the ground, testing whether your connection is strong enough to hold her in her moments of uncertainty. She wants to see if you'll meet her emotion with calm, if you'll stay steady when she loses balance. Her soul is reaching out, not to attack you, but to confirm that you're still there, that your care isn't conditional on perfection or peace. Most people react to such moments with defense or withdrawal. They argue back, match tone with tone, and miss what's really happening beneath the surface. But if you can look past her words and see her fear, you'll realize she's not angry at you. She's scared for you. Scared of losing the safety she feels with you, scared of being replaced by silence, scared of loving too much in a world that teaches restraint. The argument is her way of saying she's attached, but trying desperately not to show it. You'll notice the shift in her eyes when she's upset, the flicker between strength and vulnerability, the quiet hesitation before she raises her voice. It's a battle within her, the part that wants to stay soft and the part that feels safer being guarded. The more she cares, the more she hides it behind emotion that looks complicated. But underneath it all, it's the same simple truth. She loves you, and that love scares her. When someone has been hurt before, when they've had to hold their emotions tightly just to survive, they learn to protect themselves by masking love as indifference or frustration. But the heart always finds ways to leak through the cracks. So she argues, not to distance you, but to feel your closeness in return. To see if you'll fight for her, or if you'll walk away. She's afraid that her emotions will make her a burden, yet terrified that silence will make her invisible. It's an impossible balance, one she's constantly trying to manage. The best thing you can do is not to fight back with logic. Love doesn't need to win arguments, it needs to understand them. When she reacts sharply, pause before you defend yourself. Look at her, really look at her, and you'll see the trembling underneath the frustration. The moment you respond with patience, her walls begin to crack, because what she's truly seeking isn't an answer. It's reassurance. She's asking, "Are we still okay?" without knowing how to ask it. In those moments, your calm presence becomes everything. When you choose not to escalate, when you soften instead of harden, she feels something shift. The storm loses its power because you've chosen to see the person behind it. And when she realizes that you understand her, that you can hold space for her emotions without judgment, her fear begins to fade. She learns that she can show her messy, human side and still be loved. That's the quiet power of emotional awareness. It turns conflict into connection. What once felt like tension becomes an opportunity to grow closer. Her arguments become less about insecurity and more about honesty, because she starts to trust that you'll stay even when things aren't easy. That's when she begins to let go of the mask and reveal what's underneath. The tenderness, the love, the longing she was too afraid to express before. So when she argues over something small, don't just hear her words. Hear her heart. Hear the quiet plea that says, "Don't let this be the start of distance." If you can meet that moment with empathy instead of ego, you'll give her what she's been trying to find all along: security. Because sometimes love doesn't sound like, "I love you." Sometimes it sounds like, "Why didn't you call?" And if you can listen beyond the noise, you'll realize that even her anger is just another way of saying she's afraid to lose you. When she supports you from the shadows, when she pushes you toward your dreams, even if those dreams take you farther from her, you might think she's indifferent. You might even believe she's preparing herself to let go. But that quiet encouragement is one of the purest forms of love there is. She's not detached. She's disciplined. She's learning to love you without holding you captive. And that takes strength most people will never understand. You see, there's a part of her that wants to hold you close, to keep you where things feel safe and familiar. But there's another part, the wiser part, that knows love cannot grow in confinement. So she steps back, even when every part of her wants to pull you closer. She cheers for you while hiding her fears behind a smile, because she doesn't want to be the weight that keeps you from flying. That's what people rarely see, the courage it takes to love someone in freedom. She may not say it, but when she watches you pursue your path, there's always a quiet ache beneath her pride. She's happy for you, but that happiness is laced with longing. She imagines the versions of you that might exist beyond her reach. She fears that the more you expand, the less space there will be for her. Yet she refuses to let that fear make her small. So she supports you from where she stands, whispering strength into your steps, even when her heart trembles with uncertainty. That's not weakness. It's the highest expression of trust. It means she believes that what's meant for her will return without being chained. That real love isn't something you control. It's something you nurture and release. And still, she'll never admit how deeply that faith costs her. Because beneath her encouragement lies the quiet question she never asks. Will you still need me when you find everything you've been chasing? If you've ever looked into her eyes during these moments, you've probably seen it, the flicker of pride mixed with fear. She hides it quickly because she wants you to feel nothing but her support. She wants you to go forward without guilt. But inside, she's learning to balance two truths. She's proud of you, and she misses you all at once. That's what makes her love real. It's layered with contradiction, held together by quiet grace. She'll be the one who reminds you to keep going when you feel lost, the one who pushes you to take the opportunity that pulls you away for a while. She'll smile when you succeed, even if success means less time, fewer calls, fewer shared moments. She'll never tell you how much it hurts, because she refuses to let her love become a chain. She wants to be the reason you rise, not the reason you stay small. There's something profoundly beautiful about that kind of love. The love that chooses to stay in the background while still being the foundation of your strength. It's not about sacrifice for recognition. It's about caring enough to let you live fully, even if it means she must love you quietly from afar. When she does this, she's showing a level of emotional maturity that few ever reach, the understanding that closeness isn't always physical, and that real connection doesn't require constant presence. But don't mistake her calm for detachment. Every time she encourages you to take a step forward, she's silently battling her own fears. Every time she tells you she's proud, she's also teaching herself to let go just a little more. And yet she stays soft. She chooses trust over insecurity, faith over possession. That's how she proves her love, by not standing in your way, even when she could. Most people believe love is proven through constant reassurance, through visible displays of affection. But the deepest kind of love often happens in silence. It's her watching you grow, feeling both joy and pain, and choosing joy every time. It's her believing in your journey, not because it benefits her, but because she wants to see you fulfilled. That's what makes her devotion so profound. It's selfless, unspoken, and steady. And if you ever look closely, you'll notice that she's always there, even when she seems distant. She's in the quiet text reminding you to rest. She's in the message wishing you luck before a big step. She's in the unseen energy that believes in you when you doubt yourself. She may not stand in the spotlight with you, but her love is woven into your every success. That's what it means when she supports you from the shadows. It means she's afraid to lose you, but she refuses to hold you back. She's learned that real love isn't about keeping, it's about trusting. So she stays, not as a tether, but as a quiet force behind your wings. And though she may never say it aloud, every time she lets you go a little farther, she's silently hoping you'll find your way back. You can always feel it before she says a word. The energy changes. The warmth that used to flow easily between you begins to flicker. The rhythm of conversation slows, and there's a new kind of quiet in the air. It's not anger, not indifference, just a shift so subtle that only the heart can detect it. When she senses you pulling away, something inside her stirs. Her spirit becomes restless. She feels the distance before you even name it, because people who love deeply don't just listen with their ears, they feel with their whole being. She won't admit it, of course. She'll try to stay calm, composed, even a little distant herself, as if she hasn't noticed. But her energy betrays her. She starts paying attention in different ways, reading between your words, sensing the pauses, measuring the temperature of your presence. Her heart begins to anticipate loss, not because she wants to, but because it's what fear does when it senses change. And in that quiet panic, she starts to love you a little more carefully, as though one wrong move could make everything unravel. You might notice her laugh comes a little less easily, or that her eyes linger longer when you leave the room. She's not angry, she's observing. She's trying to understand if this is just a passing moment or the slow unraveling of something she's afraid to lose. She watches the way you move, the way you respond, the way you reach or don't reach for her. Every detail becomes a sign to her heart, proof of closeness or confirmation of distance. And yet, she won't speak it. She won't say, "I feel you drifting." Instead, she'll adjust quietly. She'll pull her energy back just enough to protect herself, even as her soul still leans toward you. Because she's torn between two impulses, the instinct to reach for you and the fear of reaching too far. She doesn't want to seem needy. She doesn't want to seem afraid. But deep down, she is. She's terrified of losing the connection that once felt effortless. When love is real, it doesn't vanish overnight. It fades in layers. First in the way we speak, then in the way we touch, and finally in the way we show up. She feels those layers thinning long before you do. And even though she pretends to be fine, she starts overthinking small things, replaying moments, wondering where she went wrong. She's not trying to control you. She's trying to hold on without grasping too tightly. She wants to preserve the space between you without letting it turn into separation. What she needs most in those moments is not reassurance in words, but presence in energy. She needs to feel that your attention still reaches her, that your calm hasn't left, that your love hasn't gone quiet beneath the surface. Because love isn't something we say once. It's something we keep showing, especially when silence starts to grow. If you can meet her energy with steadiness, If you can stay soft when she begins to close off, you'll show her that she doesn't have to chase you to keep you. Most people misunderstand this part of love. They think it's about grand gestures or dramatic declarations. But it's not. It's about being there in the invisible ways. The way you look at her when she's not looking. The way you listen even when she's quiet. The way you stay even when she begins to doubt you will. That's what brings her back from the edge of her fear. When she senses your distance, her mind becomes loud with worry, but her love remains quiet. She doesn't want to confront you because confrontation risks confirming what she's afraid of. So she stays patient, hoping you'll feel what she can't say, hoping you'll return your focus before her silence becomes her protection. It's a silent dance between closeness and withdrawal, one that she knows all too well. If you pull away and never notice, that's when she begins to fade for real. Not in anger, but in exhaustion. She'll match your distance not to punish you, but to find peace in the space you've created. But if you notice, if you pause, turn toward her, and meet her with softness, you give her something she can't give herself, the comfort of being seen without having to beg for it. That's when her guard melts. That's when her laughter returns. Because when someone loves as deeply as she does, she never truly stops feeling you. Even when she's silent, she's still tuned to your frequency. Her love doesn't switch off. It only waits for safety to return. And if you can provide that, if you can remind her through your steadiness that you're still there, she'll lean back in. She'll exhale. And in that breath, love will flow freely again. That's how you'll know she was never losing interest. She was only afraid to lose you.